Yo, it's your boy Hunty, and I'm back. Yes, it's not a ghost version of me. I am actually back. I know the channel is dead, but I am going to try and pop off once again. I have seen a little bit of a space in the creator scene in the no proc, no CP. I do believe I don't see much content when it comes to builds for no CP and any gameplay. So I'm going to try and help everyone that plays no CP and no proc and give them a little bit of guidance and hopefully help you guys and girls out with some builds. So without further ado, let's go into the gear. So disclaimer, none of the gear is anything special. The build's nothing special. Everyone will have the gear, but this is what I'm using and it is working very, very well. It is a phenomenal setup. We have nearly unlimited sustain. When I say that, I actually mean it, in both magicka and stamina. We have insane amounts of healing and tankability, and then we also have access to phenomenal burst damage. Okay, so when I tell you this build has it all, it has it all. I honestly can tell you that hand on heart. And I have recommended this build to multiple players now, and they have swapped to this build and they fell in love with it. They love it. So let's go on to it. Straight into the gear then. So we're running front bar Spriggans, 2 maces, 2 sharpened maces, so we're going to get the penetration up there nice. Good amount of penetration. We're running double dot poisons on the dual wield on the front bar because we're going to be light attack weaving with our bird. So we're going to be proccing the double poison dot. Back bar we're running pariah, so we're running pariah sword and board, body piece and the jewellery. We're running magma incarnate head for the double recoveries, and we're running the baron thisk shoulder piece again for the double recoveries. And we're going to move down to the feet where we are running one piece trainee, and that's going to give us literally the best well-rounded stats we could possibly hope for on this build. Then we have the twisted tabard, which is an extra 200 weapon and spell damage. Now I'm just joking, but if you do want to be in a small scale PvP guild, hit me up, let me know. And then we're running the necklace and ring. Now I actually have the incorrect traits on these. These you want them to be infused weapon damage. Make these infused weapon damage. Don't have them like I do. Have them infused weapon damage, and that will make one of your best burst heals even better and also give you even more burst potential. So make these infused. Don't be a bot like me. Then to finish off, we're having the Marken Ring of Majesty. Okay, this is just one of the best well-rounded rings you can sort of get in the game. It gives you that damage and it gives you that little bit more armor as well. So it's just, you know, it's a win-win really. It's one of the best well-rounded rings, and it isn't overpowered, so it's not going to have any sort of tweaks or adjustments that's going to mess up your build in the future. So yeah, a really, really strong mythic. So that's the gear. Again, like I said, nothing special. 99.9% of players will have access to this. Then moving on to the skills, we are using that Lotus Blossom. Okay, this is going to be given our major prophecy and savagery, increasing our spell critical and weapon critical rating. Living Trellis, we're using this as a heal that we're going to have 100% uptime on. Vigor, again, another heal that we're going to try and keep up as much as we can, because now it actually gives us minor resolve, which again increases our physical and spell resistance, which is just phenomenal. Again, giving us that even more tankability. Ice Fortress, this is actually going to give us our major resolve and give us minor protection. So not only is it going to give us the increase in the physical and spell resistance, but it's also going to give us that minor protection, reducing our damage taken by 5%, which is just, again, absolutely phenomenal. Then the Bull Net, which is going to be giving us our stamina sustain, so it's going to be giving us stamina constantly, and it's also going to be giving us major brutality and major sorcery. And also on top of that, it's going to be cleansing negative effects. Sorry, I just dropped my controller like an absolute bot. It's also going to be cleansing negative effects every 5 seconds. It removes a negative effect. So that just on top of it's just an absolute phenomenal skill. As for the backbar ultimate, I am using the healing trinket because I do predominantly do 2vx or like up to 6-man groups. And healing trinket is really cheap, and it's just a really good ultimate to help you and the team. If you're in the tower and you've just been burst or something, you can just drop this. It relieves the pressure and allows you to get back into a good position. But you can run, if you're running solo or even in 2vx really, you can run the sword and board ultimate at the back here, which again makes you pretty much invincible while it's up. So it's situational and it's personal preference. Front bar, we were running the sub assault. Okay, this was probably the one that a lot of people probably are going to argue against because the magic version does the major and minor maim, I believe. It debuffs the target, but this one basically is a lot cheaper. It's under stamina sustain. If I use the magic version, I find, because I'm using a lot of magic abilities, magicka, so magic, and magic. Okay, I'm using a lot of magic abilities. I have very high magic regen on this, but I feel when I use the magic version of this, it really hurts my sustain. And also, Sub Assault is still performing really well. It's doing very good damage, and also you don't have to wait so long for that second burst. So for me, it's just consistent, reliable damage, and it's a lot cheaper than the magic version. Then moving on to Bird of Prey. Okay, since this got reworked, this is an absolute phenomenal ability. So not only is it going to be given as major expedition, so it's going to be our speed buff, it's also given us immunity to mobilizations and snares for 4 seconds, which is huge. And then while slotted, we're getting minor berserk, increasing your damage done by 5%. So this ability is just so good. And you can't replace this ability. It's phenomenal. Then moving on to Arctic Blast, again this is another ability that had a very good change. It now scales off your offensive stat. So this means, the higher your offensive stat is, whether it's magic or stamina, spell damage or weapon damage, it's going to be scaling off that. Therefore, you don't have to build these high health wardens anymore. You can run really high damage wardens instead and still have a reliable heal. But not only that, there's a reason this ability is where it is, and it's on the front bar because it coincides with the Bird of Prey. And the reason that is because it is one of the best AoE crowd control abilities you can get. Okay, this is a phenomenal CC. It's got a phenomenal burst heal to it, and also it is doing damage as well. But the reason we have it on the front bar is when you pop the wings in an offensive push, you push in and you press the Arctic Blast, you CC the group you're pushing, they're all frozen, your team then goes and bursts them, and they're frozen, they're so defenseless, and you absolutely burst them and they're done. It's great for pushing. But also, if you're outnumbered and you're on the back foot, it's also great defensively because you're pressing your Bird of Prey to get that snare removal and that speed buff, and then you can use your Arctic Blast then to then burst heal you, and also being crowd controlled by the people that are, gap closing on top of you or on top of you, and it's, it helps to slow them down off you. So these two abilities work perfectly alongside each other, and it just works absolutely phenomenal. The amount you get from these two skills is great. Okay, then we go on to Whirling Blades. This is going to be our execute and execute only. Okay, do not be pressing this 4 or 5 times in a row because you will have no stam left. I do potentially, I use this, I do 2 spins, and if I don't kill them in 2 spins, I'm not going to kill them. So that's all I would recommend for Whirling Blades. Then I use Cutting Dive. Okay, this is going to be my weavable sort of pressure damage that I use. And basically it gives them a bleed, and also when you're pushing, you cast this, you knock the enemy off balance, and then you burst them, you do more damage to off balance enemies. So it just works awesome. It's a really nice ability. Then we have Dawnbreaker Smiting. Okay, not much I need to say about this. It's been around since forever, and it's one of the best burst ultimates in the game. Okay, moving on to consumables. Not much to mention here other than we're using the smoked bear hunch. I know it's a very expensive food, but I highly recommend using it. It's going to give us all the try recoveries, which is just absolutely perfect for this build. Try recoveries all round is phenomenal. And then we're using the tripods again because it's going to give us all that try sustain and just help all three of our resource pools out, and it's just going to be phenomenal. Okay, we are a vampire on this build. Pretty much no brainer, everyone's a vampire nowadays because of the undeath passive. For those that don't know what the undeath passive is, okay, it's this ability here, this passive here, reduce your damage taken up to 30% based on your missing health. Okay, that is huge. Trust me, it might not sound much, but this saves lives. Trust me when I say that. Okay, and that's pretty much it. I am a dark elf. Okay, you can be a dark elf. I recommend an orc over everything else, honestly. I think orc gives you the speed, it gives you the extra weapon damage, therefore you get a bigger burst heal. I think orc is pretty much perfect for this type of aggressive warden. But dark elf again also works because I bounce between magicka and stamina versions of this class. So yeah, dark elf also works perfectly fine. It gives you the tri maxi, the double max mag and max stam, and also then gives you the weapon and spell damage. So it's pretty good. And also the flame resistance while being a vampire, you know, it's pretty nice. Okay, so that is the skills, consumables, and abilities. Let's give you some stats. We are in no CP campaign now, so what you see now are the true stats. And also we'll take some food. So if we have a look at the bat bar, we have pretty respectable stats. If you look at that's without a pot, that's with a pot. Sorry. Let's have a look. We have pretty respectable recoveries. I actually don't know what's happened here, actually. What's gone on here? Did I just take a pot and not my food? Yes, that's exactly what I just did. Because I was looking at my recoveries and I was like, yo, that's not right. Okay, now we have respectable recoveries. I thought I was going crazy. So, as you can see, defensive stats, we're looking pretty nice. 33k resistances on both without pariah procs. We still have 4.6 weapon damage on the bat bar, and like we say, we had 2k regen of stamina and magicka with the pot up. You see, they are very well rounded recoveries. We have ultimately unlimited sustain when it comes to magicka and stamina healing, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. When we look on the offensive stats then, the offensive stats, we've got 5.2 weapon damage. Now if you get them jewelry infused, which I highly recommend you doing, you will have a little bit more weapon damage than me, and it'll give you that the more damage, and also be giving you that bigger burst heal. While I'm here, I might as well mention I have 29 points into health and 35 into stamina. That just gives us the best well-rounded stats for me personally. I am using the Warrior Munder Stone again for the weapon damage. But all you have to do is look at the stat sheets here, and you will just see that the stats are just well-rounded. They're just a beautiful set of stats. Look at the recoveries, good health pool, good weapon damage, okay, and then on the back wheel we have absolute phenomenal resistances without pariah procking. Okay, so you can just see how much healing and tank ability we have on this build. It's phenomenal. And then also having access to fantastic burst. So that's pretty much the build, ladies and gents. If you have any comments below, please comment below if you have a better build, if you have any advice you could give for me. I am recently just come back, so there's a lot of changes I am not in sync with at the moment. But yeah, feel free to comment below. I hope this build has helped some people out and guided some people in the right direction. And yeah, it's your boy Hunty. Peace out. Enjoy.